Good afternoon, families. My name is Heather Deer, and I am the Assistant Director of Parent and Family Programs here at William & Mary. Thank you so much for joining us maybe over your lunch hour for this discussion today. Our webinar series is designed to teach you about resources and opportunities that are available to your student here at William & Mary. This session will be recorded, so if you want to come back and revisit this sometime, it will be available on our website. Before we get started, I have just a couple tips. If you would like to ask a question, we will be utilizing the Q&A feature in Zoom. You can find that labeled Q&A on your screen. You can type your questions there. We will answer questions for as long as we have time for at the end of our presentation. Feel free to submit questions for as long as we have time for, if you can. All right, so before we get started, I want to give a big thank you to our presenters who are able to join us today. We're going to be talking about the Cohen Career Center, and I'm thankful they were able to spend some time with us. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Don and Kristen.
Thank you, Heather, and welcome everybody to our session today. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to attend. My name is Don Snyder. I'm an Associate Director with an industry advising area of STEM careers in the Cohen Career Center.
Hi, I'm Kristen McQuillan. I'm an Assistant Director in the Cohen Career Center, and my industry area is creative careers. Thanks again for joining.
So we'd like to start off by giving you our mission statement, kind of a frame of reference. We definitely believe in partnering with students, so we work together with students in a process. We always talk about career development being an educational process, and it's multiple steps, and we're here to partner with students in that process. And we are also preparing students for life after William & Mary, and so empowering them to navigate those career possibilities. So if you haven't seen the Cohen Career Center, there it is. We are in a great location right by the Sadler Center and nestled in between the football stadium. I think we're in a pretty unique building. It's what's called a standalone career center. So all of our facilities are in our building, 11,000 square feet. The Career Center is all our own. So it's what's called a standalone. It's still pretty rare in the country. There's, I don't know, maybe a dozen or so what are called standalone career centers. And so knowing that's a pretty unique situation with the Cohen Career Center being at William & Mary, a standalone building. Proud of our ranking. As of last year, these rankings are going to move into this year, but this is a ranking that was put out within a year, but ranked number 9 nationally for career services by the Princeton Review, and proud to say that that's based on student ratings.
So what we've got here is our competency wheel. So we talk a lot with students about how to tell their story, whether that's their academic journey or their professional journey to employers and others. So a lot of that is through what we call career competencies. We belong to a national association called NACE, the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And these skills that you see here were actually surveyed by employers and listed as the top skills they're looking for in new graduates. So that spans different industries and functional areas. You can see that a lot of the skills are relatively general in nature, things like professionalism or leadership, teamwork, a lot of skills that students can really cultivate in a lot of different ways throughout their time at William & Mary. So we like to help students to be able to talk about their experiences, showcase the skills that they've learned, whether that's in the classroom or beyond. And these are a great starting point. It's certainly not the only skills that exist, but a really good starting point for them to start thinking about how they do want to tell that story. So here are some of the ways that students can get involved on campus and help kind of cultivate these skills. So of course, they're learning in the classroom. That's a huge part of it. So their academic journey is definitely a big part. They also typically get involved in other things while on campus, whether that's student organizations, the activities they choose to participate in, maybe they're doing research, the class projects that they do are also a big piece where they might use teamwork, or leadership or analysis. Community engagement, we do have a population of students that are typically very involved in the community and working towards social projects and justice. So that's definitely something that our students enjoy. And of course, as well, if they have a job either on campus or off, or an internship or even an externship, those are all ways that they can cultivate some of those career competencies. So another way we like to showcase the career competencies is what we call our Ampersand campaign. You'll find at William & Mary, we really like to highlight our ampersand. It's pretty much in everything that we do. So this is a campaign we've been running for the last few years. It typically comes out in the spring, and we actually feature students on campus who have kind of cultivated those skills by being involved in a variety of different things. So we've picked two here to show you from our most recent feature, which came out this spring. So this one is Anushka. She is a 2020 grad, and she is actually a government major and a film and media studies minor. And you can see her ANS, which we help them select, but for the most part, they really write their own content for the campaign. So these quotes that you see here are written by them. So her ANS are art and advocacy. And so it's a lot about how people really commit themselves to a variety of different activities that have different interests and how those help to cultivate different skills. So we've highlighted some of the skills that Anushka was able to cultivate, like digital technology, global and intercultural fluency, and oral and written communications. So through her art, she was actually able to work at the Media Center in the Swim Library. She also does a lot of her own personal art that helps cultivate that skill. She was involved in Rocket Magazine, which is a fashion magazine on campus that has a pretty high level of involvement. They also used to do a fashion show. The Global Film Festival is also a really great event held in the spring that she was able to volunteer with and help with. And she even worked as an intern for the Mason School of Business Marketing Department. And you can see that all kind of helped cultivate that creative side for her. And then on her other side, advocacy, she really talked a lot about her commitment and dedication to creating inclusive spaces for all students, for minorities, also learning through her government major about systemic issues and how she can work towards social justice. And then she had a lot of advocacy in her own personal life. So this is just one example of how our students get involved and how they really help to kind of create and shape their story through their time at William & Mary and help find their passions. And we have one more. So this is Ben. Ben Ryan is a current student. So Ben has an interesting academic background. He's actually a double major in computer science and Japanese, which is a pretty interesting combination. Ben was pretty active in our Association of Computing Machinery group on campus, where they typically run a hackathon each year, which he was pretty involved with helping to run, and I think gave him a really great experience where he was able to utilize his leadership, utilize some communication skills, teamwork. So that's really a big piece of what he was able to do. Of course, he's building digital technology with his computer science background as well. And he found really a good sense of community through ACM. And then as well on the Japanese side, he really has an interest in learning about new cultures, which really I think drove him to want to study Japanese. And then he also was hoping to teach abroad after he graduates for a year or so to kind of get further into that language and culture. So you can see our students are involved in a lot of different things, sometimes related, sometimes not related to each other, but they all really help them to develop those skills. And then we help them to talk about those skills and to really showcase their story.
So it's really important to start this journey early. I know I get a lot of questions from parents, what's the first step? What should my son or daughter be doing? And a lot of times it just starts with what we call an individual advising appointment. Really what it is, it's a conversation. And a lot of times it starts with that conversation. And Some students are pretty proactive, and they will reach out to us very early, and they may have a list of questions and maybe ideas and goals and things like that, and that's great. We've got that list to go over, and then other students may not have that list, but they may have some ideas, or they may not. They may just be in a place where I'm not quite sure what the next step is. I've got some vague ideas, I've got some vague interests, but I just don't know how that all is going to get put together, and that's okay. Sometimes students are a little bit hesitant coming into the Career Center because they don't have a list, they don't have an idea, they don't have an idea of a major. That's perfectly okay. We will pick up that conversation wherever the student is. And again, we hear all the different reasons why students are not coming into the Career Center. We don't want them to be hesitant just because they don't have the plan all fleshed out, the talking points. That's okay. We pick up the conversation wherever they are, whether they have that whole list, whether they don't. So again, back to that question, where should my son or daughter start? What's the starting point? A lot of times it's scheduling that individual advising appointment, that simple conversation to start the journey. One of our structured programs that we have is called MACE, stands for My Active Career Exploration. And what that is, if a student feels they need a little bit more structure, they want to go through some of these career development exercises and activities together as a cohort, MACE is that option for them. It's a 6-week, 6-session, series of workshops that they go through together. And, we'll have them do maybe, an informational interview with a professional in a field that they're interested in. We'll have them go through some career assessments. And so again, it's just that hands-on active career exploration going through multiple weeks as a cohort. So that is something to think about as well. And then the other bullet point here, mycareer.wm.edu, that is our student landing page for our website. And again, we talk about the first step, an individual advising appointment. Even before that, students can jump on, parents can jump on this website to get an idea of all the services that we have. And again, the starting points. Sometimes students are, I'm just interested in, what can I do with this particular type of major? And so they can land on this mycareer.wm.edu, and then it can take them to a resource that we have that's called, what can I do with this major? So again, that's a good starting point for them to go through our website. Speaking of those online resources, and we know this is a challenging environment. The fall is going to look different. It's going to feel different, but we want to assure you that we are continually providing these resources for students. We are accessible as advisors. So this is an example of multiple online resources that we have. Tribe Careers, we're going to dig into a little bit more about what Tribe Careers is, what students can do with it. Focus 2 is, we talked about having students go through MACE, maybe doing a career assessment. Focus 2 is one of those career assessments. They can log on and take the Focus 2 assessment from wherever they want. We encourage them to follow up with talking about results of their assessment. So Focus 2, again, a career assessment, asks them a lot of questions. What are their values? What's important to them? What describe their personality? What are their skills? What are they interested in? So Focus, career assessment that they can take. Big Interview is, again, accessible online. They can start to practice. Again, may not be freshman year, but as they move along in their career development phases, getting closer to needing to interview for, it could be an on-campus job, it could be an RA job, it could be an internship, later on full-time positions. But Big Interview is a platform that they can practice answering questions, general questions, industry-specific questions. So it offers a lot of advice and information all around interviewing. And Vault is another example of an online resource. They have, basically we describe it as an online library. There are several career guides. They can research specific industries. They can research specific employers as well. And so again, just a kind of a small sampling of some of the online resources that we have in the Cohen Career Center. So diving in a little bit more in depth into our Tribe Career System, and we really encourage students to get involved in Tribe Careers. This is our main portal that we manage. So kind of taking care of the basics here in this slide. How do students log in? They're going to log in with their William & Mary credentials that they use for any other system on campus through William & Mary. What can they do on Tribe Careers? We'll go a little bit more in depth here. They can update their account to get on newsletter email lists. They can schedule advising appointments. Now this is relatively new for us, but it's a good feature where students, they don't necessarily have to, again, physically come into the office. They don't have to make a phone call. They can schedule their advising appointment. Again, going back to that first step, what's it look like? So having that conversation so they can schedule their advising appointment directly through Tribe Careers. And we'll go over a couple of other slides to say specifically what that would look like. And Tribe Careers is a repository. It's a place where students can look for a variety of positions, whether it be full-time, part-time, campus jobs, internships, fellowships. And then as we roll out our events for this year, they can see a calendar of events, what's coming up, and then they can RSVP for those events as well, information sessions, career fairs, and workshops. And so this is a quick look on the Tribe Careers homepage, drilling in a little bit more. That left navigation bar, that's where they can search for jobs and internships, again, fellowships, all different types of positions. And then we look at the middle circle there on the left, events. And so any event that we have in the Cohen Career Center, we're going to add it to the Tribe Career System. So students, it's important. We have a lot of things going on in the Career Center. So it's easy for students to miss what's happening in the Career Center. So if they just kind of jump into Tribe Careers, be familiar with Tribe Careers, and they can be up to date with all the events that are happening, that are coming up. And then there's, again, a quicker, kind of a bigger look at the advising appointment where they can jump in, look at the advisor availability. We didn't mention this before, but well, in our introductions, I should say, I'm the STEM liaison. Kristen is liaison for creative careers. We have a few other of our colleagues that are industry liaison areas. So if your student has a particular industry interest, they can look at the list of advisors and their availability. We are all generalists as well, and so if a student doesn't have a particular career interest area, that's fine as well. Kelly O'Shaughnessy, one of our colleagues, she is our liaison to freshmen and sophomores. And so again, we've got all of the bases covered with our advising team. And then the last circle there on the lower left, that's the My Account, where they can go in and update their career interests and their interests for industry advising newsletters. I know Kristen's going to jump in a little bit further with some of those details.
Yes. So as Don mentioned, there are a lot of things that you can update in Tribe Careers. I do want to let the students know that a lot of their basic information will be updated because we do get a feed from Banner. So they won't have to update things like their email and their 930 or 93 numbers and things like that. Their major, when they declare that will come through. But there are some areas they can update that just help to kind of better customize their profile. They sometimes will get recommended jobs and things like that through the system, and this helps. So under their account section, there is a personal and an academic profile. Under this academic profile is the place we'd like students to kind of put in some of their personal information. So the types of jobs they're looking for, whether they're ready for a part-time job, an on-campus job, or whether they're ready to start looking for a full-time job, the functional areas that they're interested in, the industries they're interested in, if they have a location preference, There's also these pieces you can fill in about what you're looking for in an employer that are relatively new to the system as well. And on the next slide, it'll be kind of just the second half of this page. So there's that geographic preferences. And then at the bottom of the academic profile is the industry newsletter section. And we really want to make sure students know about this because it's a big way that we communicate with students about what we have going on. So Don mentioned the liaison areas. These are some of the areas there. The ones that Don mentioned that will receive newsletters regardless. So there's also a newsletter called Jumpstart that he'll talk about in a minute. So that one you don't have to sign up for. There's an athlete newsletter as well that you do not have to sign up for if you are an athlete on campus. And then we have a general newsletter that Don will mention as well that you don't have to sign up for. But these ones here are opt-in because they're based on industry. And so it's really for students to say, I'm interested in learning more information about education and human services. A lot of what's in the newsletters, like Don said, are maybe upcoming events, but we also share jobs, internships, industry tips, or just things that we think might be relevant for students interested in those industries. So it's really important that students sign up. We also want to make sure that they know that they can change this at any time. So if they came in and they really thought that they wanted to go into STEM, and then, they really decided, ooh, this is not for me, and I'm not really finding this content relevant, they can go back in, uncheck that box, and select something else. So we want to make sure that they're aware as well that they can change that throughout their time with us because we know that interests change along the way. And some students just check them all because they want to receive all the information, and that's fine with us too. But wanted to make sure that you know about this page because we will be offering some good information there throughout this semester. We've also recently updated a lot of our resource library on Tribe Careers. So a lot of that being our video clinics. So we typically have what are called crash courses that we do as a workshop sort of template throughout the semester where a presenter will present on a certain topic, say for instance, resumes, for about 25, 30 minutes. What we did is we recorded a lot of those sessions and made them a little bit more amenable to not having a live presenter. So if students want to learn about, for instance, federal resume building, we've got the video clinic here that they can find in our resource library, and they can watch that at any time. These are also listed on our mycareer.wm.edu website as well. We've got them embedded there so students can see all the video clinics at once. And then we've also got a lot of handouts in here. So we've got like a resume handout, cover letters, LinkedIn page, lots of things that they can access on their own without having to be given them by us. So that's a great resource as well, is this resource library in Tribe Careers.
So we are very big on making connections in the Cohen Career Center. We feel that that's very important, and we want you to know that it's going to be happening again this year. And again, it's a different environment that we're in. We do have a lot of programs, typically in a normal world in person. But we also want you to know that a lot of these programs are going forward. They're just going to be in a virtual setting, but the end goal is still the same, to facilitate connections for students. And so hopefully that graph on the right, kind of pushes home the point. Your student in the middle, surrounded by a lot of advocates, a lot of partners, a lot of folks that want to help out. So we have a lot of different types of programs, and so career fairs are big events. And so, we have a major career fair in the fall, major career fair in the spring. Typically, our fall career fair brings in, between 70, 75, 80 employers representing different types of career fields. We have what are called individual employer information sessions. So that's that second point there. So a career fair is when many employers gather at one time to connect with students, and then the information session is when just one employer will kind of have the spotlight, and they will go over, again, who they are, what they're hiring for, just kind of describe the environment, the culture, the opportunities, what they look for in students. And so it's a good way for a student to make a connection with an employer that, they're not interviewing right on the spot. They're just getting more information about that employer And it's nice that many of our alums come back as recruiters, as employers. And so it's a nice connection where they can share that William & Mary experience. They can speak that William & Mary language. So you see some of the other programs there as well: symposia, industry panels, meetups. Meetups are a lot of times with an alum, and it's usually one alum from all different types of career fields. It's a very kind of laid back conversation where it's just one alum coming in, talking about, this is where I am, this is how I got there. And again, I was in your shoes maybe not too long ago at William & Mary. These are the steps that I took. This is where I am now. And again, having that more of that casual conversation. So when we get back to an in-person world, we do have trips. We've had different trips to different parts of the country and focusing in on different industries. The externship program, we have a winter externship program, and that's a good step, first step, especially for freshmen. We talk about first steps that freshmen can make. The externship program happens during the winter, and we have a lot of hosts representing a variety of industries, and they will host students for maybe a day or two of an externship, just to get a feel and get a taste of what that industry is like. So again, the chart on the right, your student in the center, surrounded by a family of partners that want to help. And again, we are a hub to make those connections, but as Kristen talked about earlier, your students are going to be getting involved in a lot of different areas on campus, and it's not just the Career Center, but it's making those connections, as you see around the circle, with faculty, with employers through some of our programs, but alums as we bring them in, and then parents. We've had some great connections with parents who want to help us out in facilitating those connections, and again, just creating more awareness to students and helping us make those connections with students. And if there are any transfer students in the audience, I don't know, but we always certainly want to recognize that if transfer students are coming in, they are on a faster timeline. And so they need to jump in right away. Where we talk about, again, traditional freshmen coming in, again, I had mentioned that, it's important to come in early, but again, I don't want a student coming in thinking they need to come in, first semester freshman year. We want them to get acclimated to William & Mary in general, get settled in, and then when they feel it's right, they make that connection with us. Transfer students, a little bit different. You're on a different timeline, so you need to connect immediately. And then that last point there, transfer students are eligible for our MACE program. So internships, Kristen, am I handling this slide? I believe. And then,
yes, but I'm happy to jump in too.
Yeah, and we can both kind of jump in on this. So a lot of times, again, I'll get questions maybe from parents and students. I think, and Kristen can agree with this, students sometimes come into our office, especially as freshmen, and they are just focused, laser focused on, I need an internship, got to have an internship, which is great. It's great to think about. It's a valuable piece of experience, but as advisors, sometimes we need to kind of pull that perspective out a little bit wider and say, an internship is great, but it's just one type of experience. And so sometimes students come in, I need an internship, and we'll say, what does that look like to you? And they're not quite sure. So again, as career advisors, as educators, we want them to realize that there are a lot of different ways to develop experiences. And an internship is a valuable experience, and it's just one type of career experience. The reality is, with some of our employers, some of the industries that are out there, some freshmen are able to get internships, and some freshmen are not able to get internships. And that's okay. It just depends on the type of employer, the industry. Some of our employers, they're wanting, rising juniors, rising seniors. Maybe they're wanting a certain number of core courses under the belt. So it just depends. And some of our employers that we work with, they're more open to freshmen, and they perhaps have a freshman, internship focused experience. And so, they have more of those internships designed specifically for freshmen. So again, things to think about. Many
Yeah.
sources. Yeah, Kristen, you want to jump in with anything
Yeah, I
here?
was just going to mention, so we mentioned externship on a previous slide or two, and I want to make sure that that was understood as well, because I know it's not a term everyone has heard before. So externships are also something that we really help students with, and that's typically a shorter term experience, more like a shadowing experience in a lot of ways. Where, I mean, it's possible that an extern will work on a really short project, but for the most part, a lot of it is just a shadow. So they might go in for a day or 2 days or even a half a day to really see what somebody in a career field that they're interested in does, and to learn more about that, actually, you know, seeing what it is, talking to the person, asking them questions. So some of those are very formalized, some of those are not. So students can help to find those experiences on their own too. If maybe we don't have something in their field of interest, we help them to have that conversation to help find places and people that might be good connections for them. So like Dawn said, you know, we are all about internships. Internships are very valuable. Experiential learning is very valuable, but we also want to make sure that students are aware that there's a lot of options to get some experience and a lot of things that can also be good for your resume. So I think that was kind of our point, is just to make sure freshmen know that they shouldn't feel that pressure as soon as they get here that they've got to have a first internship. There's a lot of really valuable things they can do, and we can always help to kind of cultivate that story for them, help tell them how that fits in with their skill set and how that grows throughout their time.
Yeah, and then drilling in a little bit more, the different sources to identify internships. We talked about the Tribe Career System. They definitely want to be looking into Tribe Careers, our career fairs, both William & Mary, and I say consortium there. So we do partner with some other schools to have what are called consortium events. And so these are career fairs. An example up in the DC area, where we have a consortium career fair for government, nonprofit, education type careers. We partner with a few other schools for a career fair up in Georgetown.
Yes.
We talked about information sessions, symposia, career panels, individual appointments. And again, it goes back to that that networking, kind of that diagram that we showed you with your student in the middle. There's all different ways to find out about internships: faculty, parents, other students. And so as students talk to other students, they're going to find out, especially upperclassmen, what types of internships they've gotten involved with. And I continually learn about different types of internships from students I meet with. So another question that we get a lot from parents is, you know, how does my son or daughter find out about what's happening at the Career Center? And that's important. We continually try to get the word out about our programs and our services. So these are some of the communication channels that we have. So your student will be going through orientation. So our colleagues will be involved in multiple sessions for orientation. So students will hear about us right away through orientation. We had talked about the Jumpstart newsletter. Again, our colleague Kelly O'Shaughnessy is our liaison for freshmen and sophomores. And so she develops a Jumpstart newsletter just for that population, to get them aware of things that they can be doing during those early years. Career Conversations, that is our general newsletter that, again, contains everything that's happening in the Career Center on a weekly basis. And so everyone will receive the Career Conversations newsletters. And then we had talked about the industry newsletters, and we have a graphic there to give you the next, all the different rundown of the different industry newsletters. And Kristen is our more of our social media expert. So if you want to talk anything about our social media channels.
Yeah, sure. So we have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We do encourage students to engage with us there as well. The Ampersand campaign that I mentioned, it's primarily an Instagram campaign. And so we actually, when we launch that in the spring, we will do a new feature every 2 weeks. We have about 8 students that we feature, and then they actually do an Instagram takeover in between to talk a little bit more about their experiences. So they all have kind of different functions, but we'd encourage you to follow us on our social media channels as well. It's just another way to learn more about what we're doing and making sure you're staying in touch with us.
And this is just a nice visual. Kristen does a great job with the marketing team to pull together lot of our visuals. And so as you can see, these are all this is all the breakdown of the industry newsletters. So we have business, careers, science and technology, our newsletter just for tribe athletes, Kristen's community there, the creative careers, education and human services, public service, and the jumpstart for freshmen and sophomores.
Yes, and I'll plug my team. My marketing team is all students, so all undergraduate students, and they create all of these things. And we actually had one create a whole branding guide for us this last semester, which was another really good experience for her and helped us out quite a bit. Yeah. So these newsletters do go out typically on a weekly fashion, some bi-weekly, and the Career Conversations Don mentioned goes out on Sunday evenings. So your student can look out for that starting kind of mid-August.
So that's all the material that we have. I know it's a lot of information, but we certainly want to welcome you to the tribe. We're excited to have you, and we can open it up for questions.
All right. Thank you, Don and Kristen. I know for some folks thinking about careers can seem like a far off idea, but I do know that it's helpful to stay connected to the Career Center throughout a student's journey at William & Mary. So thank you for being with us here today. We do have a few questions, and families, please feel free to continue submitting those questions. We have Don and Kristen with us for a few more minutes so that we can get those answered. So one of the questions I have seen is, would it be beneficial for a student to have an initial appointment with someone in the Career Center while trying to determine what major they're going to select, or while doing like a self-design major?
I mean, yes, it would definitely be beneficial. I'll also throw out that we have an Office of Academic Advising that I think would also be beneficial if somebody's thinking about a self-design or something like that, because they can get into that real nitty-gritty with the coursework that you need to have and all of those sorts of things. But as far as thinking about what you might do with those majors, the careers that may be beneficial for those majors, that would definitely be helpful to touch base with us as well.
Yeah, a big thing is, reflecting on the skills you would even be developing through that curriculum, and just framing that conversation of, choosing a major is important, but the major all by itself is not going to totally define who you are. Because I think some students get into that rut of, I'm declaring this major, and what does it directly lead to as far as careers? Or I don't see a solid path of it leading to specific career or job titles. And so, it's part of the liberal arts experience where, get into a major that you're interested in, you're motivated, you're excited about. But then once you're in that major, reflect on the skills you're developing through that curriculum. And again, it goes back to those 8 career competencies that we talked about. So yeah, we can definitely have that conversation as a student is exploring those majors and self-design. But yeah, we partner with a lot of departments across campus, and we refer students back and forth to different departments all the time, including academic advising.
Wonderful, thank you. And I do want to say I love every year when the Ampersand campaign comes out, because I love seeing the combination of interests and skills that our students have, because they're so diverse and so unique. And I think that's just a testament to, one, the liberal arts education, but two, that our students are really prepared to enter the workforce with a variety of skills and really unique interests. So
I appreciate that. And
of course,
all student run, by the way. My marketing team puts all of that together, photos and design and all.
I love that. I love walking by the Career Center and seeing those new posters on the walls. So another question I see is, can tribe careers be used to find work-study jobs for students?
Don, I'm going to say what I know, but if you know more than me, let me know. So we do have, I'm assuming they're talking mostly about on-campus jobs at this point. So we do have some on-campus jobs in tribe careers. We added recently, actually, maybe in the last year, a category for that, so students can search a little bit better, because before it just said part-time. So they can find those. I will list the caveat that they're not all there. So we definitely encourage other departments to submit their on-campus jobs to tribe careers. It's easy to do. But we also have a student employment page through financial aid that they run, and sometimes people submit there as well. So you'll find them in both places. So I just want to make sure people are aware that it's not the only place, but yes, you can find some.
Yeah, it's a good point, and that's an ongoing process to hopefully get them all in Tribe Careers one day. But they're not; they're in different places. And I also encourage students, if they're interested in a particular department, go directly to that department and inquire. Some of the larger departments, the Sadler Center, Swem Library, the Rec Center, and I know some of these departments have their little mini, kind of job fairs, but I think it's just, going if they're interested in particular. The Health and Recreation Center has some great student opportunities. Sadler Center. I mean, there's student jobs on campus are just great ways to develop those professional competencies, and it's more convenient being on campus, and departments know that you're a student first, and they're gonna work with your schedule. But if they're interested in a particular department, go straight to that department and inquire as well.
Thank you. And I also posted a link for our families to the Financial Aid Student Employment and Work Study website, which has a few helpful links on there as well, if that's something your student is searching for in particular. I also saw a question here, someone thinking about the long winter break that our students are going to have. Are you all offering any advising appointments during that winter break?
Yes.
Yes, we are. Yeah, we will.
Short answer, yes.
Yeah.
We typically do as well. We typically continue to offer appointments whenever we are working. So we typically have about a week break between Christmas and New Year. But other than that, we are working and we offer appointments. Now we've gotten so good at doing the virtual appointments, so I'm sure that will still be a very valid option for students.
Wonderful. I don't see any more questions, so families, now is your last call to submit those questions. I do have a question though for you, Don and Kristen. Thinking about the fall, thinking that things are going to look a little bit different for everyone on campus, what shifts is the Career Center making? What services are going to be offered this fall?
Sure. So we are offering all of our one-on-one career advising appointments virtually. We just felt that that's just the best way to go as far as safe and health protocols, safety and health protocols. But we do want to give students the option if they want to make that in-person connection. So we will, again, like a lot of departments we're just being aware of the amount of traffic in a particular building, and so we're going to have less people in our building, but people will be in our building. And so if students want to connect with someone in person, we are having a rotating shift to provide what is called quick advising. And so we will have staff members there available to meet with students in person. Again, all the protocols in place for in-person quick advising. So that's on the advising front, and we've been doing virtual career advising for multiple months now. Like Kristen said, we're getting good at it. We're able to offer a lot of services through Zoom. We can share websites, we can look at resumes, we can look at LinkedIn profiles, and so we can do all of that virtually. Obviously, we know that we're all missing that in-person connection. So if a student wants that, we will have that available. So that's on the advising front. Kristen, did you want to talk about any the programs that we have in place?
Yes, so a lot of the programs that Don mentioned will still be happening, just potentially in a different format. So we will still be having our career fairs, but they'll be virtual. We'll still be having a lot of information sessions with employers that are virtual. In some ways, honestly, it gives us more bandwidth because people don't have to physically be on campus. And so that helps. Don and I met with an alum working at Google who lives overseas, and she's going to do an event with us virtually, which is great in the fall. Another event that I'm planning is a publishing seminar that happens every other year, and we'll be able to have virtual panels with publishing executives and people working in the field as well virtually. So we have a little bit more bandwidth there because we don't have to have them physically travel since a lot of them are in New York. So we'll still be having a lot of those same events, the meetups, The information sessions, the career fairs, they'll just likely be in a more virtual format, which also helps students if they, can't physically visit us in between their classes or that sort of thing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. I see no more questions, so that is going to wrap us up for today. Thank you both so much for spending your lunch hour with me and our families. I greatly appreciate it. And this has been recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel shortly.
Thank you so much, Heather. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, everybody.
Of course. Bye, everybody.